Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that the future of the Star Wars franchise seems to be quite expansive, not just with the Kenobi and Ahsoka Tano series. We also got The Mandalorian Season 3 and 4, and let's also not forget about the new Star Wars films that are also in development. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, there is one thing, however, is that we do know that a lot of fans have turned away from Star Wars. There's no doubt about this. A lot of fans are very unhappy with what happened with Gina Carano and how Kathleen Kennedy is still having a lot of creative power over the Acolyte TV series, and how that's going to be the definition of an agenda-driven TV show associated with Star Wars. Now, John and Dave, these two guys, these two creators, I mean, they are the prime example of writers that really care about the fandom. We saw what Dave Filoni did with Ahsoka Tano's debut in her episode with Mandalorian Season 2. We also saw what Jon Favreau did with Peyton as the director for, of course, the finale involving Luke Skywalker's debut in the Mandalorian series. So they care about the fandom. The person that does not care about the fandom is, no surprise, Kathleen Kennedy. Now, before, we've been talking about how the High Republic era is a very much, I guess you could say, hated Star Wars timeline. A lot of fans out there dislike this thoroughly. And there's a reason behind that, and we've gone over this before in the past. However, what's really intriguing all has to do with what's been going on behind the scenes with, creators like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, and how they're working very hard on the Ahsoka Tano series, and how that's going to involve the worlds between worlds and time warps, and how it's going to change aspects of the other trilogies. But I digress. What's really interesting is that now, of course, with both Disney and Lucasfilm now fully focused on their new Star Wars universe, it's described that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are beginning to heavily work on Star Wars Ahsoka, as well as Season 3 and 4 of The Mandalorian back-to-back. Keep in mind, they're going to be filmed back-to-back. Now that they are pushing to be released in both 2022 and 23. However, in a recent interview, Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy was able to talk about her future with Star Wars, such as the Acolyte TV series with Leslie Headland, and responding to the fandom. Kathleen Kennedy went on to state that in her view, the fans that grew up with the original trilogy and even with the prequels are always expecting unrealistic expectations when it comes to the writers and directors of these films and TV shows. Kathleen Kennedy goes on to state that she refuses to recycle the same outlook by George Lucas with Star Wars, The Acolyte, since she believes that the fans want a new philosophy of Star Wars and a brand new meaning, and that there was never really real canon source material to work from for the Acolyte TV show. Now, Kathleen Kennedy continues to state that she still believes that Rian Johnson was treated unfairly by the fandom, and that the backlash is still a minority in her eyes, and that, like herself and others, like artists and writers working on the High Republic timeline, they try their best to just ignore the backlash as best as possible. Kathleen Kennedy also unveils that she is very much happy about the High Republic timeline, and that her favorite characters are Avar Kriss and Geode, as she is excited to see what the fans think of these characters in upcoming Star Wars projects when it comes to comics and books, and even others out there as well. Now, let me just stop right here for 1 second. Now, characters like Avar Kriss and Geode are very mediocre, very subpar characters that are not going to deliver. And, well, I mean, it's pretty much guaranteed at this point that Kathleen Kennedy is very proud of the writers associated with the High Republic era. Now, the High Republic is not liked by a lot of original trilogy fans, by a lot of prequel trilogy fans. A lot of people out there are very much against this timeline for multiple different reasons. Now, I want to go over of how Kathleen Kennedy views the Star Wars fandom, and how she labels them as expecting unrealistic expectations from writers, directors, artists, whatever have you, associated with Star Wars. I disagree. I believe that the fans have been asking nothing more than just common sense. I mean, when we look at The Last Jedi, what was the common sense thing to do? Have Luke Skywalker do what he did in The Mandalorian, at least for 2 minutes. That's all we wanted. That's all what the fans really wanted, right? An actual lightsaber battle between himself and Kylo. Maybe Luke not being a murderer, you know, in that vision sequence, trying to take out his own nephew. I mean, all these different things really could have made The Last Jedi as a film survive if they had made some tweaks here and there, such as, you know, Luke leaving with Rey and taking on Snoke, you know, and taking on the Praetorian Guards and all. It would have really saved the film. It really would have. So, moving on from all of this, the fact that Kathleen Kennedy is pretty much oblivious to the fact that the backlash is a majority. It's not a minority. Everybody that I know people that are not fans of Star Wars at all, and they love the originals and the prequels, but they hate the sequel trilogy. They hate what has been going on with the High Republic comics and the books that they're buying for, you know, people that they know that are very much Star Wars fans. They just don't like the overall artistic view. Now, there's other fans out there that I know that are casual fans. The ones that, you know, don't necessarily know too much about Star Wars, but they know about the films here and there. They too dislike the sequel trilogy. It's not a minority. It definitely is a majority. There's a large chunk of Star Wars fans out there that really just do not like what's been going on by Disney. I mean, even my dentist dislikes Star Wars The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. I myself was surprised to hear about that. But moving on from all of this, guys, you know, like I say, when we go ahead and examine with what John and Dave are trying to put together, they really are trying to do their absolute best by fusing the Ahsoka Tano series within the Mandoverse, as well as doing the same exact thing with the Book of Boba Fett. The Book of Boba Fett is going to be a very, very nostalgic-driven TV show. They're going to dive into a lot of flashbacks, you know, how Boba survived the Sarlacc pit, and they're also going to dive more into Jabba's palace and Jabba the Hutt coming back into the equation in a flashback. So this is going to be a really big deal. If you guys like A New Hope, the Book of Boba Fett is basically going to be a love letter to that movie. So I cannot wait to see exactly what that's going to look like come this December. Obviously, a lot of fans are very much hoping that John and Dave are going to be able to pull things off with the Book of Boba Fett, which, by the way, is going to be done filming completely by the beginning of this summer. We're going to get a nice sneak peek of the actual show come midsummer of this year. So, like I've said before, you know, I think that John and Dave got their head on straight. They really know what they're doing with Star Wars. They know what the fans want. So guys, you know, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.